This week's top stories. War on drugs has made no difference to the number of users and actively harms public health. Major study concludes. Here we go. McDonald's testing self-serve kiosks to fight the $15 an hour. DNA from the GMOs can pass directly into humans, studies confirm. Scientists to open mass cloning factory this year to clone cows, pets, and humans. On-demand drug production is on the horizon, and Samsung patents contact lens with built-in camera. We have a virtual reality sex suit that lets men experience realistic intercourse all on their own. Infertile mice give birth thanks to 3D printed ovaries. Want to be a superhero? Get night vision injected into your eyeballs. Cannabis-based drug successfully treats children with severe epilepsy. And one more reason to avoid sugar. Welcome to Drunken Yogi News. Shit to pay attention to.
The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists.
We are in an information war, and we are losing that war. I'll be very blunt.
Okay guys, we've got a lot to go over today, so we're going to get right into it. The first one is an incredible source for people to have conversations with loved ones about the subject, because it's always been conjecture. The war on drugs has been hurting this country and we need to end it, I feel. Now you don't even have to say I feel. You can say a panel of intelligent human beings researched it, and in their huge collection of data allowed them to come together and conclude that the war on drugs has made no difference to the number of users and actively harms the public health. So what do they suggest? They suggest that we look at other countries that have decriminalized the whole situation and regulate the market, as few states in our country have done, and decriminalize small amounts and just individual use. Go after the people selling it and don't throw non-violent offenders in jail, basically. So they go on to say the report presents compelling evidence that countries such as Portugal and the Czech Republic have decriminalized non-violent minor drug offenses with positive results, including public health benefits, cost savings, lower incarceration rates, and no significant increase in problematic drug use. So the debate is over, as Al Gore would say. We have all the information. We know that it doesn't make people go out and just start doing drugs. We empty our prison out of people that we don't need to be paying for to be in there, and everybody can get along and go along. So, moving into some economic news, the $15 an hour minimum wage is biting people in the ass. Probably the same people, it was the same people that walked out of their job last year to protest for $15 an hour minimum wage. Well, here's your replacement. You will now have the perfect cup of coffee at McDonald's with one less employee. They've got an iPad hooked up with a coffee machine, and now instead of a person getting that for you, you can order and make your coffee yourself. The perfect customized blend. And now this person doesn't have a job. I mean, making less than $15 an hour or not having a job. I don't know how that's going to work out, but I don't think that was a well thought out plan. Especially whenever you think about $15,000 an hour is about $30,000 a year. That's $30,000 a year for one shift for 5 days a week. That's not even 7 days a week. So now you have $30,000 for one shift in 1 year to be able to pay for a robot to be able to do that for 24 hours a day with no vacation, with no health insurance, not complaining, not wanting to go home at night, not worrying about working overtime. So people, stop screwing yourselves out of jobs if you're one of these $15 an hour minimum wage people. So, moving on to some genetic and health information. This study confirms what people have been saying for years, that the genetically modified organisms, the food that we eat, is getting into our systems and not being eaten in our stomach and passing through innocuously. You don't have to worry about your genes being changed for this to affect you. It could affect one of the millions of little organisms running around keeping your body working a lot easier, like the bacteria in your stomach and other such little creatures that live within your universe of a body that you have. The article starts off by saying, the idea that DNA from genetically modified organisms is broken down in the digestive tract and rendered innocuous, a common industry claim, is patently false. A recent study published in the scientific journal PLOS ONE found that a large meal-derived DNA fragments from GMOs are fully capable of transferring their genes directly into the bloodstream, destroying the myth that transgenic food acts on the body in the same way that natural food does. So again, this is something that people have been saying for a very long time, but now we're starting to see the science to back it up. We need to have the science to back it up, to have the conversation, so it's no longer an argument, it's just sharing. That is when you start changing people's minds. And expanding people's minds, we have articles like this coming from the Express today. Scientists to open mass cloning factory this year to clone cows, pets, and humans. Scientists in China are planning to open a mass cloning factory by the end of this year. This is a company that's already been doing this. We've covered this in earlier episodes, but they're finally putting all their marbles in a bucket. They're spending a ton of money. $21 million plan, which is backed by BioLife, a group in collaboration with South Korean company Soma Biotech Research Foundation. They said everything in the supermarket looks good. It's almost all shiny, good looking, and uniformly shaped. Something I don't like about our supermarkets anyway. For animals, we weren't able to do it like that in the past. But now, with our cloning factory, we choose to do so. So what they want is the perfect head of cattle, the perfect puppy, the cutest thing, and they're not looking downstream at all. But we'll see how long it takes until they start cloning people. Because if they can do it to these animals, they can do it to us. So keep that in mind. It's going on right now in countries unregulated by our legal system. And imagine what you can get away with on a yacht out in the middle of the ocean. Some really great technology coming out. This is in Scientific American. On-demand drug production is on the horizon. This little photocopier size machine, a little bit bigger than that, but we'll have the picture up for you to see it, can take raw materials and produce, I think as of right now, 4 different types of drugs. Now a team of chemical engineers at MIT have worked out production methods in one continuously flowing process from start to finish rather than stops and starts, producing chemical compounds in batches, often at different locations. They hacked off shelf equipment and developed new pumps, motor, and health equipment and ultrasound to move particles around, creating drug-producing process that is not only faster, but more precise, more efficient, and cheaper than production method now is that we now use. Their work is detailed in this week's Science. So, this is crazy. They're out of DARPA, and they're saying that this big machine can produce any drug that it needs to with the raw materials. At least that's what it should be able to do down the line. They've got a couple of the drugs on lock right now. This is huge, especially seeing that the computer was that size, 40 years ago, and now we've got, you know what I'm saying. Can you imagine that? If you could just print out your own drugs. It's getting crazy. And to not slow down the crazy train, we are going to the CBS Los Angeles, where they have a story on Samsung patents contact lens with built-in camera. Samsung has been granted a patent in South Korea for a contact lens that would display that projects images directly into the wearer's eye. According to Sam Mobile, the patent includes a contact lens equipment with a tiny display, a camera, an antenna, and several sensors to detect movement and the most basic form of input using the eyes blinking. you need a smartphone to attach to this, to be able to run the high computer power into it. But say goodbye to Google Glass. The robots just crawled a little bit closer to inside our bodies. It is now going to sit on the very edge of your ocular input, known as the eye. Are you ready for that? I'm kind of creeped out by this thing already. But the patent's there, so how many years until we see that in the public? Best Buy. Well, who knows if Best Buy will still be around whenever that happens. But we don't stop there. We don't stop making it smaller and closer to us. We want to make love to these little robotic machines that we are bringing into this world. Maybe that's why we're bringing them into this world. With the Mirror, virtual reality sex suit lets men experience realistic intercourse all on their own. I'm going to clip this video in. Let's just go to that. Turn away if you're under 18, or you might just want to turn away. So it goes on to say, virtual reality is set to change the way we use technology. But one innovation has gone a step further than most day-to-day activities. That's to say the least after you saw that fucking hilarious video, right? This is ridiculous. I don't know what to say, but I couldn't not share that one with you. And to be a little less ridiculous, but just as crazy in science, infertile mice give birth thanks to a 3D printed ovary. A similar technology might help restore human fertility. So, obviously, being scientists, they took these mice and ripped their uteruses out just so they could, all be the same no uterus mice. But then they did something crazy. Now researchers have developed a 3D printed scaffolding that could restore that function. When they implanted into female mice and that had their ovaries removed, the mom gave birth to healthy pups. They were able to produce milk. Everything went just as planned, with a 3D printed part in their body to replace what they should have had. This is fucking crazy, right? Man, 3D printed everything in the next 10 years. And want to be a superhero? Get night vision injected into your eyeballs. You got to take a look at this guy. He actually got a liquid that's produced by very, very deep sea fish directly injected into his eyeball. The biohacker group based out of California published an open source research document detailing the experiment. The night vision solution included a substance called CE6, found in deep sea fish, which has light amplifying properties and has also been used in certain cancer treatments. In a rather squirm-inducing description over science, it appears the research used a kind of miniaturized turkey baster to inject the CE6 into the eyeballs of the volunteer test subject. And it worked. It worked for a non-specific many hours, but it worked. And it was an open source first trial, and now they're going to go and do the science to figure out how to do this right. And that is absolutely mind-blowing. Look at that, dude. I don't know if that's the real picture, but it really encapsulates it. People will try anything. That's what is lovely about these biohackers, because they try it on themselves. They don't go and say, we got to try it on 1,000 monkeys before we're going to inject it into our eyeballs. This guy just went right for it. Congratulations on the Badass Award for the week. But let's move on. Cannabis-based drug successfully treats children with severe epilepsy. The development is a major breakthrough in the treatment of Dravet syndrome, a rare form of the disorder. And of course, they weren't able to administer the whole plant because that wouldn't be patented by the large companies, but this does show the power of the medicine that comes from this plant. It was extracted out into a drug form so it could be evenly administered. The clinical trial is the first of 4 final tests. The drug due to take place over the course of the year. Drug maker is hoping to prove therapeutic benefits of cannabinoids and active ingredients found in marijuana. The company said in a press release Monday that the 120 patient trial showed patients saw a median 39% reduction of monthly convulsion seizures compared to the 13% taking a placebo. This is fantastic. I'd like to point out the 13% of people that just didn't have any medicine were able to cure themselves just as well, but that's for another topic all to itself. But this is great. Marijuana is going to be able to cure so many of our ailments. Go find my other video. Once I get it made, I'll put a link right here of why you need to be for the immediate decriminalization of the cannabis plant. Well, to tie this all up, guys, we're going to go for a cancer. Link offers another reason to avoid highly processed carbs. So, a new study finds that consuming sugary beverages, processed food, and other energy-dense carbohydrate-containing foods markedly increase the risk of prostate cancer. Choosing healthy carbs like legumes, fruits, and whole grains was associated with a substantial reduction in the risk for breast, prostate, and colon cancer. So, skip that next sugary drink. Get yourself something healthy. Get yourself some kombucha. Get some fucking bacteria living in those bellies, digestive tract, doing shit for you that you can't do for yourself, making vitamins and energies, restore your mitochondria, and I'll see you next week.